Okay, my friend, thank you for tuning in to Win Your Days today. Win Your Days is a movement of men rising up to win in life, love, and business. And I never want you to forget that you are an athlete in the great game of life. As a matter of fact, the biggest stadium you'll ever play in as a man is the stadium of your own life, and every day is game day. Now, I'm super excited to bring this interview to you as I was recently able to reconnect with my old high school football coach, Joey Wiles. And we were in his home talking about life, talking about sports. Coach Wiles has spent 3 decades coaching high school football. I had the opportunity, the privilege, the honor of playing for him in his early coaching career at Melbourne High School. But Coach Wiles has spent 2 decades coaching for St. Augustine High School, where he won a state championship. He was two-time runner-up to state championship. He went to the playoffs 17 consecutive years, and he's amassed 198 wins in 20 years at St. Augustine High School. Incredible career. The list of accolades goes on and on, so I can spend the whole time sharing those accolades with you, but those are some of the highlights. Coach Wiles currently works for Flagler College in the athletic department there, and again, had an opportunity to visit him in his home and talk about life and football. Grab something to write with, grab something to write on. You're going to want to take down some of these key takeaways. Let's get started.
Sewing.
When I hear you talk about the dark nights of the soul, you're in tears on your couch and
Yep.
you're asking the question, how much longer
Yeah.
should I keep doing what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I can imagine, as an entrepreneur myself, there are times where I get inside my own head and I go, what am I doing?
Yeah.
This is crazy. And because oftentimes when you start something new, it always takes longer than you thought it was going to take.
Yeah.
And it's harder than you ever imagined it would be. And so you sit on the couch and you go, how much longer am I going to do this? What was it that kept you going? Like, why did you do the next day?
Yeah. Well, obviously, my wife encouraged me to do it, and I've always had a real fear of failure. One of the probably the greatest compliment, one of the greatest compliments I got when I retired, one of my players said they were saying, what did you really see in Coach that really made an impact on you? He said, I always saw he had such a fear of failure. And I always did. I wanted St. Augustine High. I wanted the people of our community to feel very proud of walking around with the St. Augustine High football shirt. And it rested solely on me initially. How are you going to train the kids? How are you going to train your coaches? Are you going to spend that extra hour at night in the film room? Are you going to get there at 6 in the morning and line that field so you have great place to practice? All those kind of things. So I always had a real healthy fear of failure, good or bad. That's one thing that really did drive me. Even going off to college, no, my mom and dad didn't go to college, and I was the first one to go, and I got there the first year and played around and had a great time. And all of a sudden, the realization that if I didn't get serious about school, I was going to come home. And I didn't want to be an embarrassment to my mom and dad and my brother and sister.
Yeah.
So I kind of always had that
right
in me a little bit, fear of failure.
Yeah. Wow. And turned it for good. Because I like how you said I've had a healthy fear of failure, because it could be unhealthy.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
It can consume you
to where a lot of
depression,
cases, depression would be
anxiety,
right, where you take any failure on as your identity, and because it failed, you think I'm a failure now.
Right.
You think and I think that's unhealthy.
Yeah. And going back to that part, the question you asked about what's the healthiest, or what helps the most, winning or losing? Well, failing helps a lot, because when I would fail, if I saw something in a game film, or we had a terrible game plan or something, I knew I had certain people I could call. I could call Fran Ganner at Penn State. I could call Greg Schiano at Rutgers. I could call, Bob Stoops and Brandon Hall. Now it's a secondary coach at Oklahoma now, where I actually, will help other guys with problems they're having now, which has been fun. But
Wow.
I think failing and then having, as we said, those men in your life that you can go to, it's critical.
Right.
That can help you.
Yeah.
Might be a book they give you that
Yeah.
that you read, change. Like, might be a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
might be a phone call, like we share, and
Yeah.
or a text.
Yeah.
You know,
That's beautiful. I got this saying that I learned from Kobe Bryant, but I have a feeling Kobe Bryant might have learned it from you back when he was, because what you're saying, right? So I was listening to this interview with Kobe Bryant, and the question was, how do you handle failure?
Mhm.
And I've never forgotten Kobe's response. He goes, I get excited
Mhm.
about failure. And I was surprised. I'd never heard
Yeah.
anybody say that before. And
Yeah.
so I could tell the guy interviewing him felt the same way. It's like, what do you mean you're excited about failure? And Kobe said, well, failure just shows me where I need to improve. And if I know that if I can improve that area, my game will be that much better.
Exactly.
And that's what I hear you saying.
Exactly.
So I'm thinking Kobe got that from you.
No, that's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. When you're running through a game of life, it's like life. I'm running through, boy, everything's perfect. Oh boy, God's blessing me. And he is. But we get that prosperity gospel about us, and we start thinking,
Right.
and that turns off the I think the non-believer that says, oh, okay, God's blessing you, but he's not blessing me. Look, I'm wallowing in this. So when we get in those times of where we're failing, or where we're struggling sometimes to get out of bed, and we're able to do that because of the people we've been, that have been placed in our life. We get that phone call, or we reach out to them, makes a difference. What he says, our strength comes within our weakness, because when we're weak, when we're in that low point, there's one place to go, and it's to him.
Right.
And now all of a sudden we become strong, because there is the source we need to be reaching out for.
Yeah.
That's the source.
Yeah. Yeah. And that source never ends.
Nope.
Yeah. Coach, a moment ago, you had made a statement that triggered something in my mind, and you had said that you wanted everybody to be proud to wear a St. Augustine shirt around town, because it wasn't a winning tradition when you got here, but you wanted to turn that around, and you turned it around incredibly. But when you said, I wanted everybody to be proud to wear a St. Augustine shirt, I thought of a man and his family, and I thought of my own 4 kids. I want my kids to be proud to wear the Palmisano name. Yeah. And a lot of that is going to come from how I'm playing the game of life, and absolutely, how they see their dad playing the game. And is it a game worth emulating? Is it a jersey worth wearing? Can I wear that name proudly? How is dad living his life? And I just thought about that for a man, for a father, that I want to give you some encouragement that people around you are watching. And what if as men, we adopted that mantra? I want everybody around, especially my family, to be proud of wearing the family name as the jersey.
Yeah. And to encourage, because we all make mistakes. There are things, I've done in my life that obviously I'm ashamed of, that we've probably, a lot of us, if we're honest, have done that. And I want to encourage you not to carry that around as baggage, because that prevents you from being all you can be. And that's not an easy thing to do, because I've done that for a long time. You carry that with you, and you have to get to the point where, you repent, and you pray for his forgiveness. And he says, once I've forgiven you, I've forgiven you. He asks us, how many times will you forgive your neighbor? 7 times 70, is in.
Mhm.
So I think you're probably out there listening to us saying, hey, there's things I've done in my life that there is nothing he would no way he would forgive me for this.
Right.
And it says he will forgive us
Yeah.
of everything. And I think you've got to you've got to live like that. If not, that baggage will weigh you down and you will never live a life.
What would you say? This is interesting. 100% agree. I think sometimes a man has more trouble forgiving himself
Oh,
than receiving forgiveness from God. And he won't forgive himself.
absolutely. That's 100%. That
Yeah.
is 100% forgiving yourself.
So,
God will, but
yeah.
we don't.
So, how does a man get over that to move forward?
I think it's that day-to-day relationship, and just it's hard. It's hard. It's not going to be something, I don't think, that happens overnight. I think it's a continual, your devotional time in the mornings, the more familiar that you become with the Bible. And you know John, Paul, David, they all had things. Think of what Paul, if he had not forgiven himself over the number of Christians he killed, half of the New Testament would have never been
Wow.
written.
That's right.
And that's pretty, to me, that's pretty powerful. That
Wow.
he forgave himself enough to go preach the gospel.
Yeah. So it's the lack of forgiveness that prevents a man from moving forward and
Correct.
reaching his potential.
Absolutely.
And none of us want that. And so, yeah, I think you're right on, coach. I mean, the more familiar we are with the head coach, the more we see his grace
Absolutely.
in our lives. And his grace is what compels us to
Yes.
continue to walk with him, to forgive ourselves, to move forward.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, remember, I always want you to remember that you are an athlete in this game of life, and every day is game day, and how you're playing the game matters. You matter, and you have everything you need for life and godliness to go crush it, to be an amazing athlete on the playing field of life. Go live well, go play well, my friend.